Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about something that affects almost every person who is retired or getting ready for retirement, whether they know it or not. And to be honest, this is something that can quietly improve or hurt your monthly budget if you depend on Social Security. This is the 2026 COLA prediction. That means cost of living adjustment for Social Security benefits. And now some new numbers have started coming in. What's interesting and even a bit surprising is that the latest estimates show that next year's COLA increase could be between 2.4% and 3%. And maybe that doesn't sound like a big number, but it's actually a pretty big change from earlier predictions. Many experts thought inflation was falling fast, but in reality, things aren't changing as quickly as expected. So if you depend on Social Security, even just a little, this matters, because even a small monthly benefit increase can help you stay ahead of rising prices. So yes, it's important to understand how this works, why the numbers changed, and what you should really expect in January. Stay here because we will explain everything in easy words and show how this can affect your pocket in 2026. Before we go ahead, I want to know, do you remember when you got the biggest Social Security increase? Or if you've never received it, how much money do you think could really make a difference in someone's life? Tell me in the comments. I always enjoy reading your stories. And if simple and clear money info like this helps you, press the subscribe button so you don't miss future updates. So, what is COLA and why does it feel like a big deal every year? Actually, cost of living adjustment is the way Social Security tries to keep up with inflation. If prices go up, like they often do, then ideally, your benefits should also go up. It's not a bonus, it's just a way to make sure your money doesn't lose value over time. Now, since 1975, COLA has been tied to something called the CPI-W. That stands for Consumer Price Index for Urban Wage Earners and Clerical Workers. Sounds long, but it simply tracks the prices of everyday things like gas, groceries, rent, etc. The government looks at the average prices in July, August, and September and compares them to the same months last year. If prices went up, you get an increase. If prices don't go up or go down, then there is no COLA. And yes, this has happened before. Some years had a 0% increase, which feels really heartbreaking, especially when everything else is getting more expensive. Now, for 2026, the early predictions look a little hopeful. The Social Security Board of Trustees just released new numbers. Their middle estimate shows a 2.7% COLA in 2026. The low-cost estimate says it could go up to 3%, and the high-cost estimate says it could be 2.4%. And you might wonder, why did they change the numbers? What happened? Well, inflation hasn't dropped as much as people hoped. Even though the Federal Reserve has cut interest rates, they did it very carefully. People expected them to cut 150 basis points, but they only cut 100. And even with those cuts, prices in some areas are still rising fast. On top of that, global tensions are rising too. Things like trade policies, supply chain problems, and changes in manufacturing, all of these push inflation higher. Energy, food, and transport are especially unstable right now. And all of this ends up affecting the COLA number. But here's something not everyone knows. COLA is based on a price index that tracks the spending of working urban people, not retired people. Which is kind of strange, right? Because most people who rely on Social Security are over 65, and they spend more of their money on healthcare and medicine. That's why some groups, like the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, want to switch to a different index called the CPI-E, which means Consumer Price Index for the Elderly. This index gives more weight to the things seniors actually spend money on. But that change hasn't happened yet. The reason is that Congress disagrees on the cost of making that switch. Now let's talk about how this directly affects you. If the 2026 COLA ends up being 2.7%, and right now you get $1,900 per month, then you'll get about $51 more each month. That means a little over $600 extra for the whole year. And for many households, that makes the difference between getting by comfortably or needing to cut something. But even then, this increase often doesn't fully cover rising costs, especially in areas like healthcare. Medical expenses usually rise even faster than everything else. So yes, you might get a small increase in January, but your doctor's fees or medicine copays might eat up that extra money right away. That's the big worry people have. They see the news saying COLA is going up and think, oh wow, we'll get more money. But then real life hits and they see they're still falling behind. So the question is, does this adjustment really help people keep up with inflation, or is it just a formal announcement? That's what experts are still debating. And even though the COLA system has helped millions from falling too far behind, it might not be enough in today's expensive economy. Look, back in the 70s and 80s, COLA increases were much bigger, sometimes over 10%, but inflation was out of control then. In recent decades, it's been much lower, mostly around 1 to 2% in most years. Now, this 2.4 to 3% range sounds bigger to some because it's more than they expected, but for many people, it's still not enough. One thing to remember is that even though these estimates come from the Social Security trustees, who are very important, they are not final. The real number will be confirmed in early October when the 3 months of CPI-W are complete. That means the inflation for July, August, and September will decide how much the COLA increase will be. And last year is a good example of how things can change. The trustees predicted a 2.6% increase, but the final number came out a bit lower, 2.5%. It wasn't a big difference, but it's a reminder that these are just estimates, not promises. Speaking of promises, let's think bigger for a moment. Right now, there's a big debate about the future of Social Security itself. The fund that supports retirement benefits could run out sometime in the 2030s if no changes are made. That doesn't mean the benefits will suddenly stop, but payments might be reduced if Congress doesn't make reforms. Some groups like the AMAC Foundation are offering solutions. Their plan focuses on adjusting the retirement age and benefit formulas, not raising taxes. Trump's administration hasn't made any major structural changes yet, but it's clear that support and financial strength for retired people are part of their big message. Whether those messages turn into real policy, that's something only time will tell. So, what's the bottom line? For now, the 2026 COLA looks like it will be around 2.7%. That's not huge, but it's more than some people expected. And if inflation stays the same or goes up a bit higher, the final number could reach close to 3%. But in the end, the real value depends on what you spend most of your money on. If your rent just went up or your medicine cost doubled, then the COLA increase might not fully cover it. But it can still give you a little breathing room, especially after a few tough years. And look, we can't predict the future completely, but keeping an eye on this stuff helps you stay ready. Whether you're already retired or planning to retire in the next few years, understanding how COLA works and how these numbers are calculated can help you make better money decisions. So if this video helped you, please like it and share it with someone who might benefit from knowing this. And once again, tell me in the comments, what does a meaningful increase in COLA look like for you? One that truly makes a difference. All right, that's all for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and be part of this conversation. There's a lot more coming, especially when we get the official CPI numbers later this year. So keep an eye out. Until then, take care and stay informed.